Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another chapter of Experiencer Interviews. And today we've got an American citizen who now resides in the Philippines. His name's Jay Jaydee. I've been Jay has been contacting me, and he's contacted me for maybe perhaps a week ago, and he's been sharing some of his stories with me online. And a lot of the stories that he was telling me was totally amazing and new to me, so I really needed to get Jay on today. So Jay, I know it's fairly early in the morning right now, but yeah, I know there's a 13-hour difference. So thanks for making this happen.
You're welcome.
At what age did your experiences start?
Well, I'm going to say, excuse me, at a very young age, maybe like somewhere around 4, maybe 5, I think maybe 5 years old. I had gotten really sick. I had pneumonia bad, and to make a long story short, I died. I remember leaving my body. I mean, I could actually see me going through I came out through my chest. I could see the bones and flesh as I passed through it. And I was out of my body. I know what form I was in. I was, do you know what a woolly caterpillar is? They're a caterpillar that's on the head part of it and the back, the rear end of it, they're black, and in the center, they're orange.
Okay.
They're popular in New York State and the North Country. Anyways, and they have a lot of hair and fingers. And in the shape it was like an S shape. And I had all these little fingers coming off me, and they was like waving. And I was looking away from me, and I was at the foot of my bed, and I was probably like 3 feet in the air. And I turned to my left, and I turned around, and I saw my body in the bed. I could see I was laying there on my back. My head was turned off to my right side, and I could tell that body was dead. But I knew I came from that, but I had no feeling for it. I mean, it's like I was, I'm dead, I mean, there was no connection. I just knew I came from that. Then I turned back to the right to where I was looking the opposite way, and there was a doorway. And way in the back of it, there was this bright light. I mean, that's all I could see. But that bright light and I was the same color, white. Anyways, this little way, and I'm looking in there to see if I can see anything. Also, it's like I'm being drawn to that door. I want to go through it. And off to the right of the door a little bit, I see a tiny little black spot. And I'm watching it. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Pretty soon I see the torso. I see legs, a head, and arms. And it comes close, but it doesn't come to the doorway. It probably stays maybe, I have no idea how far to tell, maybe 40 feet from the door. It stayed way back. And it called out my name, and it told me it wasn't my time to die, and I had to go back. But also, it said, I'm in this form, so I would not be afraid. Okay, now I had no idea what an extraterrestrial was until I got older. But that's what I was looking at. I was looking at an extraterrestrial. I could see its arms were long. I mean, its wrists were even with its knees. And I could only see 3 fingers on the hands because it had its hands, the back of its hands facing me what I was. And that's all I could see was 3 long fingers. And I have no idea why. I mean, I knew it wasn't an angel. I knew it wasn't Jesus, and I knew it wasn't God. I was looking at an extraterrestrial, but I have no idea why it said, you know, I'm in this form. Is that because our soul, our spirit, is from an extraterrestrial?
Mm.
And I'll tell you something else. Now, I like it when people say they you know, they go to heaven and all this stuff, and they clothes and stuff. I hate to disagree with them, but your clothes don't go with you. You have no arms, no legs. The only thing I had was that what I was, and it felt like I was pure energy. And the only thing I had was eyes. I had no mouth, no ears, nothing else, no legs, no hands. And when it spoke to me, it was like, oh, the only way I can say is telepathically. But I heard it through every part of what I was. I mean, the front of me, the back of me, the side of me. I mean, every place I heard it from. So I really never connected that with an extraterrestrial. So that, I mean, there's more to the story, but I'm not going to go into it.
What did the ET look like?
Well, I got to tell you, it looked like a tall gray.
Okay.
That's what it looked like. I mean, back then, like I said, I didn't know what I was looking at. I had no idea. But that one picture that I sent in my story,
yeah,
it looked so much like that.
Okay.
And I think, I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I think that's why I was picked for to go into the program.
Well, you sent me the I've got the picture with when you're on the table and the pencil and the UFO and the on the crater, but I don't have the a specific drawing of the gray.
Yeah.
So, but okay. So, what happened after your conversation with the gray finished? Did you jump back in your body?
Yeah, I went back to my body, and the same thing. Now that was a weird thing. Now, same thing when I went into the body, I could actually see going through the flesh and the bones. Now, I entered into my chest. Now, it wasn't like I laid down and laid back in my body. I entered my chest, okay, with where my eyes were in the front of this thing. I entered that way. I can remember going in, turning around in my body, and part of me, up through my neck into my head, I could feel my arms going into each arm and my legs going down like that. Then I was kind of semi-conscious, but I was so sick and stuff, and I'm laying there. Then now I receive a telepathic message. I'm here, in my head. It was different than when I was out of my body. It told me to sit up, and I said, "Oh, I'm too weak. I can't." Well, actually, it told me it said, "Sit up," and my mother on my nightstand next to my bed on the left side. Anytime I had a runny nose or a cough, she used, what Vicks vapor rub is?
Yeah.
Okay. She used a big jar. Well, anyways, there was a brand new jar. She had a brand new jar on my nightstand. And it told me to take that, open it, or no, I guess that was after. It told me to sit up, and I said I was too weak. I couldn't do it. And it said, "Oh, I will give you the strength." And I felt something enter my body. I mean, it was like crowded in my body. It was uncomfortable. I mean, I felt something else inside of my body with me. And I just sat right up like there was no problem at all. Then it told me to take that jar. It didn't call it Vicks. It said just take the jar, open it, and eat it all. And I said, I don't It was a brand new jar. I couldn't open it. I said, I can't open it. This is, I will give you the strength. I grabbed it. I opened it up just like it was nothing. And I can remember I stuck my finger in it, the first mouthful. Oh, it was so nasty tasted right to the very end. I mean, I cleaned it out good because it told me to eat all of it. Then I went back to sleep, and I don't know, at month left. Then I remember my mother, she was shaking me because she was asking me, she said, she used to call me JR. She said, JR, dear, how did you open that jar and eat that Vicks? I think she was afraid because I ate that Vicks, but that is what cured me from the pneumonia. That's what saved my life.
Wow.
Now, I know it sounds crazy, but that is the truth.
It's not. It's totally believable. Wow. Okay.
So now that's the last anything to do with them until I was 16 years old. And that's when I was really illiterate. I didn't know nothing about people being abducted and stuff like that. We lived on a farm, and I didn't watch TV. Heck, I didn't watch no TV. That was just something in the living room sitting there. I mean, didn't really have time, and being young and stuff, going outside, we didn't have time for TV. Mm. Then, and in July of '69, I just turned 16 in June 18th. I'd go to bed at 9 o'clock every night because I had to get up at 6 and by 6:30 help with milking. This one night, I went to bed, and I'm going to say probably about somewhere between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up because I was so cold, like I'd been in a deep freezer, and when I woke up, my light was on, and my bed was made so perfect. And what I would do is when I'd get in bed, I'd lay down, and I'd pick my feet up in the air and pull all the blankets from underneath the mattress and the box spring. And I'd lay on either my left or right side. I didn't sleep on my back, and I still sleep that way, with my arm under the pillow and up lower, so my head is like laying on my arm. And here I am. My arms are to the side of me. The bed is made so perfect. My light is on. I know I had turned it off. And like I said, I was so cold, and I sat up, and I put my hands to my chest, and I grabbed my t-shirt. It was so wet, I could see water, what looked like water to me, come through my fingers. Mm-hmm. And when I let go of it, the water wasn't on my hands. It went back into my shirt.
What?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, my hands were dry, but my shirt was so wet. So I got up out of bed. I took my shirt off, and I mean, the whole shirt was wet like that. There wasn't one dry spot on it. I mean, it was so wet, I could probably wrung water out of it, but I balled it up, and nothing came out of it, but it was wet. So I just threw it on the floor, put a dry t-shirt on, and I'm going back to bed because I got to get up at 6. But before I go back to bed, I check my bedding because I expect where I was laying, my bottom sheet on the bed would be wet, but it was dry. My hair wasn't wet, and I wore my t-shirts. They were long. They hung below my briefs, and my briefs were still dry too. Only my t-shirt was wet. And I just said, well, dreaming or something. So I went back to bed. And when I got called in the morning to get up at 6, I got up, got my barn clothes on, go milk. And I remembered, me being cold and the wet t-shirt. And I looked, and it was where I threw it on the floor, and it was balled up. And I said, well, I'll put it in the laundry box to sort and get washed. Well, when I picked it up, I expected it was going to be wet because just from like 4 to 6, it wasn't going to be dry. It would still be wet, but it was dry. It was bone dry. And I just said, well, I must have had a dream that, I dreamt this, it wasn't real. So anyways, 2 days later, we're going to bale hay, and I'm in the back of the pickup truck sitting down, and I see this, like a video start to play in my head. I mean, I can see it, but I'm not looking at it with my eyes. And I'm walking up this ramp. It's a spiral ramp. It's big. I mean, it was like at least 10 feet wide. It was big. And I'm walking up it, but it's like I can feel I'm being controlled. I'm being made to walk up it. And the only thing I can do is I can turn my head a little bit. But I can't, like, I tried to turn around and stuff. I couldn't. And anyways, I'm walking, I'm looking around to try to get to see where I'm at. And I noticed the wall. That was probably another 20 to 15 or 30 feet from the ramp. So whatever I was in was big. It wasn't small, it was big. But I noticed I'm looking for like a corner of a wall, to see where the wall goes, but it's curved. It's not flat, it's curved. And the bottom of the wall is also, it's curving, but it's not, curving like this, it's curving outwards. And in the center of the ramp, there's all these different sized pipes. I mean, some were probably maybe 4 or 5 inches, the smallest ones, to probably some that was at least a foot or better, bigger around. And it's the same metallic color that the wall is. And as I'm walking, I can feel whatever was controlling me, I can feel its grip loosening on me. It's not so tight. I can move a little bit. I can move my head more. So I looked up because the pipe was off to my right. So I was walking up and going around the right circle, going up it. Well, I turned and I kind of looked down, and there it was. It was this gray being. It was probably 3.5 to 4 foot tall. Big almond eyes. The head was a little bit bigger than proportion to its body, but I had the feeling that it wanted me to see it. Then it was lights out, and that's when I woke up, because I was cold. And I didn't say nothing to nobody because I was 16 years old, and people would think, wow, he's telling some kind of fantastic story. Because I didn't know what to tell people what I saw, because I didn't know what an extraterrestrial was. I had no idea. So I just put it off, well, a dream, and I just remembered what it was. That was it. So a week later, same thing happened. A wet t-shirt in bed. The bed made so perfect. My light on. But I don't remember anything. I mean, I didn't have no visions of doing anything. So I just, I'm dreaming and I don't know what I'm dreaming. So I think that, I thought some of my family members was coming in my bedroom and doing a prank on me, joking with me. So after milking, we was all sitting at the table eating, and I said, are any of you coming in my bedroom at night time? And everybody said no, and somebody said, why? I said, nothing. I was just wondering. So I come up with an idea. I says, well, I got the keys to the bedroom. I had 2 bedroom doors. I'm going to lock the doors. I got all the keys to it. Find out. So I started locking my doors at nighttime. Then a week later, it happened again. Same thing. I woke up, wet t-shirt and everything. But there's 2 things different. I had an awful sore chest. It was like an elephant stepped on it. And I thought for sure I was going to have to go to the hospital because it hurt so bad. My grandfather asked me too because he's seen I was, in trouble. And I said, no, I'll be all right. And that went on for like 2 days. And I had this awful, terrible, haunting feeling. I'd killed. Now, when I say killed, I mean I killed a living being, not an animal, but I'm going to say, because I didn't know what an extraterrestrial was, I'm going to say people. And nothing happened. I'm just, I brush it all off as bad dreams. So that was basically the end of it until 1973. This girl I was dating, we went to a Saturday night showing of a movie. It was late one because we didn't get out until like 12:45, and we both lived in the country, and she lived on a crossroad, and I lived towards on her south end of it. So that's the way I was taking her home from the south, and then I headed north. We had an encounter with a UFO, and as I'm watching it, it's that same metallic silver color I saw when I was walking up that ramp. And that's when I realized it wasn't no dream. I mean, I'd never seen that metallic color before, but in my dream I seen it, and I seen this ship, and it's the same color. Now, how do you see that? I've never seen it before, and here's this ship. I know it was a ship from another world, the way it maneuvered and the speed it flew at the end. That's not a coincidence.
What type of, was it a saucer shape?
Yeah, it was saucer. And it was, I would have to say it was up at least as high as the International Space Station. And at first, because I was driving down this road, it's a windy road. You had to go slow because on the right side, when you was traveling south to north, it was a drop off. I mean, you would go for a ride that you really didn't want to go for. And I was driving down the road, and it was on this little flat part of the road. And on the left side, there was a hayfield, but you had to kind of look up it because it was at an angle. It was like, at first I thought maybe somebody got in my car when it was parked down there when we went to the movies, because it was like somebody tapping me on my shoulder, on my left shoulder. I looked kind of like in my back seat to make sure there was nobody back there, and I caught out of my eye, I caught this light up in the sky. It was about the size of a landing light of a big plane, like a 747 or 727, something like that. And I told the woman, I says, oh, there's an airplane coming in to land at the airport. Then I thought, wait a minute, it's only one light. Plane's got two landing lights. So I said, I stopped the car, we got out in front and looked at it, and the whole process took probably, I'd say, between 15 to 20 minutes for us to see it. And we could tell it was way, way up. I mean, it was like I said, up as high as the International Space Station, out in space. But yeah, the light was as big as like if you were standing at the airport and you seen the light, the plane coming in, the light, it was, pretty big. Yeah. And it came just a little bit in front of us, like a maybe 15-degree angle. And it got, right over us, and it turned 90 degrees north, but it wasn't a turn. It like slid sideways. It was going just like that. Yeah. Perfect. It got to where we could see it, and it was the size of like a tennis ball. Then it started right back. Now it didn't even stop. It just zooped right back. And on the way back, both of us got a telepathic message. It said, we're not interested in you. And I said, okay. I said, maybe I don't have what they want, right? So now it comes back right where it did the 90. It's right on that same path. Went right over our head and flew south. And the one south, it probably went as far as it did north because it was like the size of a tennis ball, and it came back. And when it came back, it said, "We're not interested in your planet." Then when that said that, I knew it wasn't talking about me and her. It meant all humans. Then it came back, and just before it got to where it did that 90, we received another message. It said, "Watch what we can do." Now, my eyes are really focused on it, and so wasn't hers. And it got to right where it did that 90. It just stopped for a fraction of a second, and it took off so fast. And being on top of a hill, I mean, there was no other hills higher than we were. This thing took off so fast. I don't mean hundreds of miles an hour, 1,000. I mean millions of miles an hour. Mm-hmm. It took off, and I mean, we could see it go a long ways, and it wasn't following the curvature of the Earth, so you can't say it's a fallen star. It was going flat line straight out. But as far as we could see it go, I mean, if you blink your eyes, you would have lost track of it. I mean, that's how fast it was going. So I knew that wasn't from here. I mean, I knew that was from another planet. There was other, beings. And that brought my three things there about, I was abducted. I knew something happened then. And anyways, I didn't pay a lot of attention to it, but I knew that's what happened to me. I got abducted. So in 75, I got married, and we started a family right off. And in the 80s, Ronald Reagan, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, he gave a speech at the UN one time. And he was talking about bad aliens. If they came here to Earth, they would all different countries would stand together to fight them off. And it woke something up in my mind. I stood up from my chair and I told my wife, or I didn't tell her, I just said, "I know about bad aliens." She said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, I'm not sure, but I know something about bad aliens." So now my mind is really twisted. I don't know what to do. I'm watching programs, see if I can find anything on TV about aliens, and they don't have a whole lot. So I'm thinking, well, I'm on a wild goose chase. I'm never going to find my answer. So anyways, back in 2000, my wife and we decided to part ways, and in a divorce and stuff. I kept the house, and in 2003, I sold it, and it was in the fall time because I had arthritis in my one shoulder and my knee, and the cold weather, really killed it in the wintertime. So I was going to move south to Florida. I had a brother living there, and told me to come on down. So I was going to go there. Anyways, the house I sold to people I knew. They were friends, and they let me stay there for 2 months after I sold it, so I could get all my personal things taken care of. So when I moved, so the last month I was there, I had a strange thing happen. Every night I went to bed, just before I'd fall asleep, it was like I was being held down. And I would try to fight it. The more I fought it, the more I couldn't move. And also I could see these 4 dark shadows. One would be at my shoulder and one down by my legs. And it's hard to really describe what I saw. Like I would see one, and as it moved forward, there was another one behind it, and it would join it, and another one, and another one. Then it would do so many that way, but that was all 4 shapes like that, and fight stuff. Then it would stop. So, like I said, this went on for a month, and every time it was the same thing, just exactly the same thing. And I said, "I'm losing. I'm cracking up. I'm going to call a psychiatrist." And the day before I was going to call the psychiatrist, I come up with an idea. I said, I'm just going to lay there, and whatever it is, whatever it wants to do to me, I'm just going to let it do it. So that's what I did. I mean, I laid there and it started to happen, and I tried to fight, but I forced myself not to. Then, like I said, they were shadows, like from one into another. They all came into form. It was them 4 small grays. They was holding my shoulders down and my arm, and it threw at my thing. And I was laying on the table. I saw the like, you know, being in an operating room, the light above me, and to my left. And I'm looking around. I'm wondering why they're holding me on the table. And out of the dark, this tall gray, I mean, 6.5, 7+ feet tall comes. It walked up to my midsection, put its right hand just below my sternum, its palm, and its 3 long fingers, and they come almost right up to here. And that's all I saw too, was just 3 fingers. And it reached up with its right hand and grabbed the instrument, which looked like a giant syringe. It's probably at least 4 inches in diameter or better, and a long, pretty long needle, but it was as big around as a pencil. And it pulled it down right for my eye. And I said, oh my God, this is going to hurt like hell, because I thought it was going to stab me right in the eye with it. But as it got closer, it went off to the top of my head, and it touched me right about there. And it was lights out. But in between before that gray came, and the small grays that pulled me down, it was like an avalanche of information came to me. I mean, it was almost overwhelming. I saw where they took me to the moon, where I was standing on the side of the crater, looking down. I had a spacesuit on. The ship, I looked up, the ship, edge of the ship was just above my head. I looked down in the crater. There was the moon base. I could see, I believe there was 3 or maybe 4 buildings. And off the tall buildings, there was these quantum huts coming off it. And it was lit up because if the lights weren't on, because it was on the backside of the moon, you wouldn't even known it was there. And then I can remember going in the end of it, but before I did it, when I was standing on the edge, the crater, I shuffled my feet back and forth like this. I could touch the moon's surface, just like flowers. I remember going in the door in the end of the one quantum thing, and I was in there, and I had a clipboard, I had paper on it, and there was some kind of clothes I had on top of that, and I was going like from one station to another station. I was being given a medical examination by human doctors.
Now, was this a like a telepathic download or like imagery that you got while you were being examined on the table?
No, it was a physical examination.
Okay.
Like your heart and looking down at your tonsils and stuff, your ears and everything, your eyes. It was a medical. And then the second time I was taken, this is the good one. This is the best one I like. Is the second one, because that same gray that I seen come out of the dark there, I was in a room, and it was doing mind control on me, but it was more than mind control. I mean, what it felt like was you took a 3-foot piece of yarn and just folded it up in your hand. I mean, our minds were 2 minds as one. I mean, I could see what it was saying with its eyes. Not clearly, but I could see what it was saying. And I could feel what it knew. Anyways, I was first standing there. The only thing I could do was move my eyes, and it told me I was forbidden to turn around and look at them. Now, when I got that message, I asked myself, who's them? And I'm looking in front of me. There's a window, but it's not a window. I could take 4 steps and I'd be right out in space. I got to tell you about space. Space is awful dark and black. And I'm looking down a little bit to my left and down towards the floor because the window ran all the way to the floor, and it was probably maybe 4 foot wide. And I looked to see, what the heck, how that window worked, because there was no, it just came out of the wall. What was ever there? I mean, there was no glass or nothing. And I seen this planet was about, size of a basketball. Beautiful blue color. And I know I'm looking at Earth.
So you were looking through the walls or like through the floor?
Oh, through the glass, through the window. That wasn't a window.
Okay.
And I can see that planet. I know it was Earth. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just knew it. But that's what it was. We all had to take that test for fear to see if we was afraid. And like I said, who was them? And why are they watching me? And I got my answers. One was because it was a test of fear. And the other one was I got this like I could feel there was one human, non-extraterrestrial, off-world military officer. Gary McKinnon. He found proof of them. Oh. Now, I'm not saying that was one of them because back then, and probably, not young, being older, he probably was long dead by the time Gary McKinnon found what he found. But also, I got the impression there was 4 other extraterrestrials. And I got a thing about the Council of 5. Oh. And that one guy doing the mind control over me was one of them, and there was the other 4 that made up the Council of 5. Now, then the third time I was taken to Mars, and I got off the ship. We was in freaking underground in a tunnel. I mean, these things were massive tunnel. I mean, the ship was inside of it. And standing there, there was other people, there was other there, and I believe there was 19, so it made 20 of us, and we're all 16 years old. And this commanding officer, I can't picture his face, but I do remember he was probably my height. I was like 5'10" back then. He might have been 5'9.5" because he was about, but he had this little bitty mustache that run across just the top of his lip. And when he spoke to you, you want to do what he said, or I think it would have been or else. So after that, I can remember going to these a lot of briefings, but there was 3 main ones. One was, he welcomed them. He said, welcome to the Secret Space Force. And we were standing there because he had all stand in the line. He told us, if you're on Mars, we're underground. And he says, we have one mission, and you was chosen for it. So now after this year, is the briefing. He had this briefing. He said there was this one group of extraterrestrials that was going to invade 5 planets. And we was number 3 on the list. And what they wanted all the resources from each planet. And they was going to kill everything on the planet. In other words, I'm going to say I'm talking about Earth. They're going to kill all of us humans. And I mean, anything, eat wildlife and everything. And when they got done with all the resources they needed, all 5 planets would end up looking like Mars is, or what we see on the surface of Mars today. And our mission was going to be to stop them. But we wasn't, and how they was going to do it, they was going to do it in 2 stages. They was going to send an advanced group in to infiltrate the governments or whatever the powers on each planet was, and they was going to infiltrate into the military or whatever, you know, the other 4 planets, how they defended their planets. And then after, you know, they did that, the main force would come in because they would know what their military thing was and about the governments thinking it wasn't an invasion. It was just, you know, they would just come in on a friendly thing. And that's what our mission was. Then briefing 2 was about, well, it was about the training that we was going to be doing. It wasn't like normal training where you have to go out and do push-ups and all this stuff. They had we was all around this table. And there was a weapon there. It kind of looked like a rifle, and it was, you could see through it. It was like it was made of glass, and the barrel was like a U shape. And he told us it was a plasma rifle. And that's what we were going to be using to fight the other group of extraterrestrials. And there was no trigger on it. So somebody asked, well, how do you shoot it? He says, you have to use your mind. So, and he told us that once you mastered how to do that, nobody else could pick your weapon up and fire it. Only you could fire it.
Wow.
And he told us it was made like that because I say the Greys, but I think it was that Council of 5. It was made that way. So when we was fighting them, well, I'm going to come out and just say what it is. Once we got killed, and, you know, of course our weapon would be down, that it was so transparent, and being in the dark, they wouldn't see it. They'd step on it and break it. Because they didn't want them to have the technology, how these weapons work. So that was mostly what the training was about, and I could tell you, it took an awful long time to do that too. And I think that's something to do with the age of 16. I think once you're older than that, you can't do it.
Really?
You have to be 16, yeah, because all of us were 16. So, anyways, and this wasn't a briefing. One time we was out, we had to run. We was in a tunnel running. We didn't go out. We stayed in the tunnels, and the tunnels were lit. I mean, they were lit good. You could see, but there was no lights. I don't know how they lit it, but they were lit up. Well, we got at this point where there was no more light. It just went from light to dark. And he stopped us and had us all get around him. He told us, he says, under no circumstances do you go past this point. He says, no matter what, you don't go past this point. And we all got thinking, well, maybe we're not the only ones in these tunnels. There's something else down there. So anyways, now we go to briefing 3. Now, he tells us what's going to happen. We're going to go on this ship. We're going to be taken into another star system. It's going to take us a while to get there. He said, when you're on the ship, you're gonna be made. You're gonna go to sleep for a while because the trip is gonna be a while. And he called it the ambush. That's what he called it, the ambush. So what he's gonna do is then he said the ambush. Then he explained that we had to shoot them twice in the face. No place else, just in the face, 2 times. And he said at blank point range. Now, we had these spacesuits. Now, they weren't nothing like NASA's spacesuit. I have a picture that's from NASA itself. It's a shadow, but the Curiosity rover, and somebody's working on it. Now, it's on Mars. People say, "Oh no, there's no people on Mars." I beg you're different. This is a person, because if you look at it, I know it's only a shadow, and the suit he has on is like what we had. They're tight. The air tank on his back, you can see the air tank, like what we had, but he doesn't have a helmet on. I think he just has a face mask on. We had a helmet that had 2 small lights next to our eyes so we could see out, and the maximum you could see was like 3 feet. That was our blank point range. But you can see the hair on his head.
Yeah.
And when does the rover grow hair? NASA said it's the arm of the rover. How the hell does it grow hair?
Yeah.
It's a person. It's an SSF person. We have people on Mars now.
Do,
I mean,
yeah.
there's people up there.
Do you know, getting back to the bad ETs, do you know what type of aliens were they?
Well, I'm getting that. So
okay.
the third briefing was about, and he called it the ambush. And he said about having to kill them. So now it's time to go. We get on a ship, we have our helmet, our spacesuit, our weapons, and whatever else things. And we get on the ship. We were the last ones on the ship. And we got in, each of us had our own little cube, because the other 4 ones, I don't think they breathe oxygen. They breathe something. They was breathing something else. They don't know what. So anyways, we went, and when we got there, I remember, put my helmet on. The door opened, and they had lights flashing out. We were there at the asteroid, and we was ordered to get off on board, so had to jump down because the ship was like a cigar-shaped ship. It was long, and jumped down on the ground. It was probably maybe like a foot or 2 foot above the ground, just sitting there. It was like, I don't know how they did it, but it was like they plowed a strip of the asteroid where we was, and we was going to be at the end of a box canyon. What a box canyon is, there's walls and things, and they used that, and they piled it up there to make like a ramp. I mean, we had to not really climb up it, but when you walk, you had to lean forward, to walk up it. And we laid down there, but on the other side, it was kind of like a drop off. And the extraterrestrials that we was going to ambush, they had to get over it. They had to grab it with their hands and pull themselves up.
Yeah.
So we was there, ship closed the doors, and it went. And now we don't have no light other than the lights in our helmet. And I got to tell you what, that was so freaking dark. I mean, your helmet was dark. You couldn't see anybody's face, or you couldn't see the lights. I think that was because they didn't want the other alien to see us, to see where we was at there. Well, anyways, if you was to take your helmet off, I don't think you could have seen the end of your nose. That was so dark. I mean, it was black as black could be. We're in no man's land.
Yeah.
So anyways, the bad group of aliens hadn't been there or aren't there yet. So we was there maybe, I'm going to say between 20 minutes to a half an hour. Then we received the message. Now, in our helmets, we was told it was given, all this stuff was given to us by that Council of Five, the spacesuits, the weapons, everything, transportation. They had built-in communicators, so in other words, if any of them other aliens talked to you, you could understand them, and vice versa. When you talked to them, they could understand you. It was translated. But anyways, we got from a officer that their ship had landed, and they told us to be prepared. So I'm there. I'm to the farthest to the right. Nobody's to my left. Everybody's to my left. And how we lined up was one human, alien, 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 then human. In other words, there was no two the same in the same spot, you know, next to each other. It was all different until, you know, it repeated till the end. And he said they had landed. Then probably another, I don't know, a few minutes later, one alien next to me, there was one in front of him. He shot it, but he only shot it once. And one in front of me. Now, what would happen is they'd put their hands there and pull themselves up, and that's when you shot them. Mm-hmm. And I shot mine real quick, and I finished his off. Well, he slid down the bank a little bit, probably to where my knees would be, or just below that a little bit. And I could see he had in his left arm, about halfway between where his elbow and the shoulder would be. His suit was ripped, and he was wounded. Well, I slid down there, and I got a tourniquet. I had a med kit. I got a tourniquet out and wrapped it because the suit was leaking whatever he was breathing out. And I wrapped it around his wound in his suit so it wouldn't leak. But, I mean, he wasn't wounded real bad. So I climbed back up, and I figured he's going to come back up because he's not hurt that bad. So I hear him crying. And I looked down at him, and I said, "What's wrong?" He says, "I can't do it." And I said, "Do what?" He says, "I can't kill." He says, "My race, we don't kill for no reason. We're benevolent." And that's when I said, "Oh my God, we're all going to die." Because I'm thinking there's 19 others of him. If they all do this, we're dead. I mean, I really thought I was going to die there. I thought we were all going to die there. And I hollered up to the commander. I said, "We got a problem in the line." Then I told him, I says, "Look at your arm." I says, "You see that?" I says, "That's nothing compared to what they're going to do to your people." I said, "They're going to kill them. They're going to kill all your people." And it took a few seconds, and he said, "I'll do it." And he come back up. Then there was like the scouting party of them that came because there wasn't very many of them. And then they must have called, maybe radioed back for help or something, because a whole bunch of them come. I mean, the only thing I can say for like, it was maybe an hour or not. It was just nonstop fighting. And after it was over, I wanted to see what I killed. I wanted to see what I was killing. So I got up, stood up, and tried to look over the bank, but it was so damn dark I couldn't see nothing. And the ship had come back to get us, opened the doors, and you could see the lights, and I thought maybe I could see. But because it casted a shadow, I just couldn't see. Then I seen a bright flash way back behind them. And it must have been the Grays, I believe, because they blew up their ship and the smaller ship that was on it. Now, that's what I left out. I got to tell you what they was going to do. Now, I told you about the thing. Well, what they was going to do is they was going to get on this asteroid that we fought them on. As they went by a planet, got close to it, one of the smaller ships that was going to infiltrate would jump off and go to the planet undetected. So this is the group that we was going to stop was down there. We wasn't going to fight the main group because like in freaking tree. He said, if we killed them all, that was he told us. We had to kill every one of them. No prisoners. Just kill them all. You had to kill them all. Destroy the ship. Then the main force would think it was a blown mission. Something went wrong. Their plan wasn't going to work. Now, when the one alien next to me shot the one, and I shot it the second time, I got to see, just a very brief second, a fraction of a second of what it kind of looked like. And to me, it looked like where its ears were, its face kind of flared out. I mean, it was strange. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but that's what I could see. The side of its face, it flared out. It had its side like that, and they had 5 fingers and a thumb, because laying there right by the top of that ramp where they put their hands, I could see. I mean, I couldn't see their hands because they had spacesuits on too, but I could see 5 fingers and a thumb. And I want to tell you, they could grab your head or my head with that hand and just squeeze and pop your head. These things were freaking big. I mean, you could see through their suits. I mean, they had necks that were massive. And their shoulders were, I mean, you could see the muscles from their suits being on. I mean, they could pick you up and tear you apart like you was a rag doll.
So they weren't reptilians?
Huh?
So they weren't reptilians?
Well, I don't know. That's one other thing he told us in the one briefing. He told us they were shapeshifters. Okay? And I'm going to say they look something like, almost like reptilian or something like a dinosaur.
Okay.
I mean, that's what, because like I said, it was so fast I saw that. Now, I got to tell you how the rifle, when you shot the rifle, like I said, you had to think to fire, but also the plasma came from your own thought too. It wasn't something that was in the thing. I mean, it was that's what took so long to do it.
Oh.
And it was about the size of a tennis ball. What it would do, it would start at the one on the bottom of the barrel. It would be a bright red color. And as it started going down the tube and make the bend, it would be losing that bright red color. And just when it got like it would be halfway at the bend, it would turn blue. And as it went up, it get real bright blue. And when it was really bright blue, it was ready to fire. And when you shot that and it hit, all I can think of is like, you know what a plasma ball is?
Yeah.
You know, you put your hand on there and how that's what it did. It kind of like just broke apart in like little electric things coming off of it. Now, another thing, I know why we was ordered to shoot them twice in the face was the first shot broke their shield, and the second shot is what got them and killed them.
Okay.
You had to break the shield, and these plasma things didn't go really far. I think that's why we had to shoot them at a close range. But yeah, I mean, if you messed up, you had it, because, like I said, the maximum you could see with that light was 3 feet. And that was it. And when you saw them, well, like when they come up the bank, you was right there. They was right there. But yeah, and now I'm going to go way off the limb here. About one year ago, I met this lady on Facebook in one of the groups here about aliens. I forgot what group it was. I forgot her name. And I only talked to her like for a month, because the one site that she was in, the guy that was the administrator, and it was his thing, they had some kind of falling out, and she blocked me and everything else. But I thought she was pretty smart, because she knew a lot of stuff. And she told me, because I think we fought them Oh, I think I was there for 10 or 12 years, and it was at the end of the thing, which would have put us into the late 70s. And I'm sure that Ronald Reagan speaking about the bad aliens, he was talking about the ones that we fought.
Okay.
I am almost dead positive he's talking about the same aliens.
Yeah, the timing's pretty good.
Now, she told me, she knew a lot, like I said, that there was a group of Anunnaki that broke off from the other Anunnakis. I guess they didn't see eye to eye, so they kind of like went their different ways. And she tried, and I've been seeing lately that other people said the Anunnakis were shapeshifters. I don't know how true this is. I don't keep up a lot. Anyways, that's what she told me. She says because she told me about the 6 fingers, and the Anunnaki had 6 fingers.
Are you talking about the Anunnaki?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anunnaki.
Okay. Good.
He thinks that group that we fought was that broke off group.
Oh. Okay.
Now we wasn't told what they were, but after seeing how big they were and the 6 fingers, maybe she was right.
What type of ET was the one that was benevolent and got hurt and you patched up?
Yeah, what happened? What?
What type of ET was he?
I don't know. We didn't get to see them because like anytime we saw them, they had their suits on because they didn't breathe the same stuff we breathe.
I hear you.
So okay. I didn't, and like I said, the shield on their couldn't see. And now, then the Council of 5, the one, well, I saw him, and plus I saw him when he was looking at me. I saw what he kind of looked like. We wasn't allowed to see any of them.
Okay.
The one we did, but the other 4 we weren't allowed to see. We were forbidden to look at them. So I don't know. I have no clue what they were saying.
Okay.
But I know that through that. And also, here's another thing too. Now, I know you probably know it and everything. Everybody's talking about it, closure about, government come out saying yes, they know about the alien and stuff. Well, that one it was doing the mind control. I felt it do something to me, to my mind. It felt just like it put a message in my mind. And it's probably like, since I seen this thing about way back in the summer there, early spring, summer, I know what the message was. It told me that they want this group of 5, they want us to know about them. All humans. They want to show themselves. They want to come here. But they have rules. And one of their rules is that all the governments or powers on whatever planet it is, they all have to agree on it. Okay? And if just one of them says no, and it doesn't matter how small a country, say like Cuba or something, any small country, they say no, they will not come. Now, they might work in the background with the governments and stuff, but the general population, they won't show themselves. And they want to.
Okay.
They want to come here and let us know about them. But wow. Like I said, if all the governments on Earth have to agree on it.
Okay. Now, coming back, I thought was really interesting is when you were abducted as a child. Well, I can't remember the actual age, but remember you said that you were actually under the covers in your bed. You were being taken, and then you were being brought back on your bed where the covers were neatly tucked, but beneath the bed mattress.
Yeah. I don't, like I said, that's why I never let it go. I knew something happened to me, but I don't know what it could have been. But I knew something happened to me.
Well,
You
yeah,
know, like,
the way I see it is perhaps the fact that the bed covers were neatly tucked under the mattress was a sign, at least, to tell you that something actually happened, a
yeah,
proof of sorts.
because without fail, as soon as I got in bed, I put my feet and pulled the blanket, so there was not one of them, one piece of it underneath between the two of them. I mean, during the nighttime, sometimes I'd have to get up and get the blankets off the floor because they'd be, fall off the floor on me. But yeah, I mean, there was no way. I mean, I couldn't have gotten in bed, even if I was grieving. It made the bed that perfect, full of what got in there, and that. So, I mean, looking at it, there wasn't even a wrinkle in the blankets, no place. I mean, it was made so perfect.
Mm, amazing. My mother, when she was a child, had a similar experience. She goes in bed, and she above her bed they had the lights that she with a metal cord that she had to pull, and the light would come on, and so like she falls asleep and she wakes up. No, during that sleeping period, she's walking in the house, and she sees her dead father in a rocking chair in the living room, and she asks him questions if he's okay because he passed away, and he was just smiling at her, and like moments later she wakes up, but instead of being under the covers, she's on her bed on her knees, looking at the ceiling, looking at the light bulb that was on. It was off when she went to bed. This time it was on. So that's it reminds me of your story.
Something happened. I mean, it wasn't that. I mean, you can't do that in your sleep. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. You can't do that kind of stuff in your sleep.
No.
Yeah, and the best thing I think, well, if anybody does that and they don't know, the best thing to do, I guess, go to a psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever, and have hypnosis done to you. Now, for me, I think that group of five, they wanted me to remember. Now, because the only thing I remembered was walking up that ramp and seeing that one short grave. Now, in between that time and when I had that crazy dream there in 2003, well, it wasn't a dream. What happened to me is I knew nothing. I mean, all I know, I seen that thing. I knew then it was an extraterrestrial because seeing things on, TV and so on and so forth, seeing, reading things, that's what it was. But other than that, I mean, I wouldn't have known. I'd been taken and drafted into the secret space force.
Yeah.
And went to an asteroid and fought aliens. Just kind of wild. But I think it all had to do with when I died that one time, that one I met, because I tell you, that tall gray and that thing, so similar. I mean, that thin little body and skinny little arms it had and legs. I don't know, but
yeah,
it's I'd do it all over again.
Could you be related to them somehow, like a previous life, perhaps?
I'm going to say it's not impossible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not impossible.
Okay.
But I mean, I know, I don't know because, why 3 times, and I remember 3 times, the moon, doing the test there, looking at Earth, and being taken to Mars, and 3 times my bed was made that way.
Yeah. Strange.
So I don't know. I think it was real, but like I said, it's possible. I think that's what deja vu is, don't you?
Yeah.
I think that's from another lifetime.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to tell you, after that, I am definitely not a religious person. I don't buy into it and stuff. In my experience there of dying or near death, we do not die. I mean, the body dies, but whatever our soul, then I guess when you die, your soul turns into a spirit that continues to live on. Mm-hmm. And we maybe many have lives. And I think that doorway. Is not the gates of heaven, but I think that doorway is a doorway into a different dimension. Mm. Because now, like the form I was in, like I said, you have no mouth, so you're not going to be eaten. You have no arms and no hands. You can't touch. I think we are here for the experience.
Quite possible, yeah.
The taste of food, no nose, the different smells of stuff. Mm-hmm. And these other dimensions, they don't have that. No. And it's only this dimension that has this.
Coming back to the story you were on the moon, we went through that briefly because I interrupted you. Were you so you were actually in a spacesuit walking on the moon?
Yeah. Yep. Well, down into the crater and into the quantum hut and did took the suit off and stuff, and I had like a medical gown on, and I'm not sure whatever the clothes was it was on that footboard I was holding wasn't the spacesuit because there was no helmet, and that would have been a lot bigger. That was just true. Maybe it was like each station you went through, you took off your gown and they shot it away, and you had to put another one on. Just for that, yeah. But yeah, there's now what I would like is I would like to go back like right now and see how things have changed. Now I'm sure if they still have the base moon, if it's the same way, I'm sure it's probably changed. And on Mars, I'm sure that maybe they're not underground anymore. They got a base on the surface of Mars.
Okay.
And we probably have our own ships now. I think now I have no way of knowing this because I've never heard of anybody talking about being in Americans. Now that one woman you said she did German, but a long time ago, back in the 50s. I think for the Americans, I think that was the very beginning of secret space force. Mm-hmm. Or, I'm not saying the very first time, but like I said, the Americans was in control of everything, given, but that the Greys, now I believe it was their ships, but they was doing all the, coming and getting us, abducting us, and doing all the transporting because we didn't have no ships then. So I think that was maybe the beginning. That could have been their first. That was a test for everything. I mean, the test for the off-world extraterrestrial officers, military officers, was their first time they would be in control of, doing something like that. And if they succeeded, maybe we'd be joining that, Council of Five. Mm. Because, this group of five, they're guarding Earth and other planets from bad extraterrestrials. I mean, they're guarding, like us, we didn't have the technology. Now, whatever them aliens were, whether they were the Anunnaki or whatever they was, I mean, when it comes to a hand-to-hand combat, there's no way we would have been able to beat them. I mean, they were so freaking big, strong. I mean, there was no way. But I think, to me, Earth, I've always looked at Earth. I mean, even, well, when I first started hearing about it, I think Earth is like an outpost.
Oh.
Now, we're on the edge of the Milky Way. Now, other extraterrestrial races coming from inside of the Milky Way, going to go out someplace. Maybe they stop here and rest or refuel their ship or something. The same way, some other aliens coming from another galaxy, they come here. They stay, you know, do whatever, rest. Maybe they rest up and fuel up their ship somehow. You know, there's something that they can do, fuel up or rest, whatever. Then they go on. And that's another thing. If, like that group, I said that one telling us about, you know, all the governments. Now, if we fight amongst ourselves, they won't interfere. But I think if we started using nuclear weapons, they might step in and say, you know, because I don't know if we're important to them. I mean, we are, but I think Earth is also important. You know, Earth itself.
Yeah.
And I mean that's what I said about, you know, that the test for us is because not only are they guarding us, but we're out there helping them guard other planets from bad extraterrestrials. And even, you know, that tall gray, they're benevolent. They're really friendly. But they're benevolent.
Yeah. Which is problematic if you want to fight off somebody.
Yeah.
But
anyway, that's my story.
So how long you served for over 12 years in the secret space?
I think between, because when I was on the table and when I was on that asteroid, I was much older than 16. I had to have been 26 or 28 years old.
So were you de-aged? Were you when you were brought back, or?
I think they can do time travel.
Yeah.
Now I remember one time, I don't know which time it was. I don't know if it was first, second, or third time. I remember, like when I woke up in my bed, I was freezing. I woke up and I was in this tube, and I was moving really fast. I don't think I was supposed to wake up, but I did just for, you know, a few seconds, enough to see what was going on. And I'm going to say it was like, you know, a roller coaster, but a child's roller coaster. It was like not straight. It was kind of like you sit down and come up, and I was going inside it. And you could see out part of it, but it had big spots of white. So at times, you know, you couldn't see nothing. But when you got to see through the clear part of it, you could see, you know, like you're on Earth and you see the stars way out there. They were like lines because you was going so fast.
Okay. So yeah, okay. So you were in space.
I don't know if I was doing time travel or NASA just did an experiment with some kind of a teleportation or something. I don't know if that was maybe what I was doing. I don't know, but I was in that. Whatever I'm at, I was freezing, and I'm wondering if that's how they transported us back and forth because, you know, to the ship and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because that cold I was in the tube was just like the cold I was in my bed. So I'll tell you what, space, like on that asteroid, it was cold there. It wasn't warm. It was cold.
Okay. Wow.
I mean, there was no big sun close by. It was dark. It's like your thing behind you, that one that looks like Saturn with the rings going on it.
Yeah.
The black side. I mean, it was like black like that.
Wow. Are you aware if somebody else within your family went through something similar?
Other ones, no. I mean, my brother, couple of my brothers, they've seen UFOs and stuff like that. But I told my one brother about it. He said, oh, Mom would have had, you know, she would have had the police and stuff, everything. I said, well, they probably did, but time travel or whatever they do, because like I said, when I was on that table, when it touched me on the head, I was much older than 16.
Mm.
So I believe they do time travel. And I think they maybe even knew how I was gonna do my thing, tell my story and stuff like that. Because like I said, it was funny. I was gonna, did they know that I was gonna go to a psychiatrist and maybe they would have unlocked my mind and they let me have that thing, until I did it right, I said, oh, well, I'm not gonna fight. I'm just gonna let it go to happen.
Yeah, no, they're listening in. Trust me, they are.
Have they looked into my future? They knew what I was gonna do?
Yeah, I think so. I spoke to Susie Hansen regarding your pencil that shot you a laser to the head.
It just touched me with it. I just put that mark there to show her, it touched me. Yeah.
She had she saw the same thing on board a craft, and she said she was laughing. Yeah, it's blacked out. You lose conscious.
Boom. You're done. You're done. You're out.
That was the funny part. She was happy I told her that. So what happened after you came back from the Secret Space Force? Did you have other experiences?
No, just that's it. I haven't had nothing else. I've seen a lot of I lived in Florida. I've seen a lot of UFOs I don't know how many of them because we have our own ship and stuff, but I've seen a lot of things that I don't think were from Earth. I've seen a cigar-shaped craft. I've seen that kind of was going at an angle like this. I watched it go right up and out into space. That was kind of weird. Oh, here's a story for you. I knew this guy. Now I have no reason why he would lie about it. Now he was in. I met him, and he told me he was in 3 branches of the military. He was in the Army. He was I don't know if he was a sergeant or above sergeant, but anyway, he drives tank. I think he said 50-ton tank he could drive. He went into the Navy. He was a Navy SEAL. He was over Vietnam and told me about some of the things he did over there, shooting people on the head and cutting their throat.
Yeah.
And he became a Marine. And he retired, I believe, a Marine colonel. And he lived in the town that I didn't live in the town, but our town was called Elmira. And I lived on what they call the East Hill, and he lived on West Hill. And where he lived, they called it Paris Hill, where they used to fly gliders. In fact, that's where the German top ace in World War II, their pilots trained there in gliders. Anyways, he lived there. He said one night he was probably he was a teenager, maybe 16, 17. He said, I think 18. Well, they used to drive around with a loaded shotgun on their back seat of their car. And one night, him and his uncle was driving down the road. It was dark, and his uncle was driving. They was going by this a hayfield, and where they entered the field from the road, he looked out there and he said, there was this ship. He said it was about 50 yards above the ground, just hovering there. He said it was as big as a city block. His uncle stopped the car. He got out. When he got out, he said he grabbed the shotgun. His uncle was in the field before he was, and he followed, and he was going to shoot it. His uncle, before he shot it, he grabbed it, pushed it down, and said, "Don't you shoot him? You'll piss him off." But he said the thing about it, the size of it didn't surprise me. But he said it didn't make no noise. They said they watched it. He said it took off. He said they could watch it go right out into space. He said, but it never made no noise. Now, something that, to think if they have something like that, and they can move without hearing them. Technology they have.
Yeah.
Now I've seen, you know, some of their technology. Now I think that if people weren't so greedy for money,
Mhm.
we could have free energy,
Oh yeah.
you know, and the energy that don't pollute and stuff like that. I mean, it's like we're being held back.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's not like we're being held back. We are being held back. And it's all because of greed for money.
Yeah, in control.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care, you know, where you go. I've been into a few countries. I've been here in the Philippines. I've been over in Ukraine and stuff like that just after it broke up from Russia. It's all the same. Everybody gets in power, it's rich, and they're getting richer off the poorer people by taking their money and stuff. It's, you know, Star Trek, if you know about Gene Roddenberry, he's the one that, you know, did you ever hear the story about him where he did an interview there at the Pentagon with an extraterrestrial one time?
Well, I know that the idea of Star Trek came to him probably from a telepathic message, perhaps.
Well, no, he started right after he had the interview. I guess they let him do a whole day interview with this extraterrestrial, and he come out with these things. Now, I wonder if this extraterrestrial was the one that gave him the idea. You know, anyways, in their society, they don't have money. You have to read the book to find out stuff. They had no money. They didn't use money. Your job was your pay.
Yeah.
And what it did is because of that, okay, you take like the guy that's running a big, you know, 2,000 people working there, you know, he's the CEO or whatever, you know, he's running the company. This guy, say, out there cleaning the sidewalk, you know, cigarette butts or whatever, paper off the sidewalk. They can go in the store, same store together, and they could buy exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because their job was their pay. And what it did is it cut down on crime, because as long as you was healthy, able to work, you worked. And of course, the people that, you know, couldn't work, they were taken care of. But I mean, you didn't have to rob because somebody said, oh, man, look, they got a 65-inch TV and we only got a 24-inch. Let's steal it, you know. Didn't have to, because it didn't matter what your job was. Everybody is equal.
Okay.
And because of that, you take farmers that are growing things, they say, well, I can't plant no more because I can't afford to pay the people, just to, you know, I have to have people. Well, it's their job, so that they can hire 50 more people, you know, enough to do it. If nobody goes hungry.
Yeah, amazing.
I mean, that's how that works in Star Trek. Now, and surely we didn't have no money up there when we were there. We didn't get paid. we was all taken care of. We had everything given to us. But yeah, it's just you wonder about that. Think about how sad it is. You know?
You sent me an image of a UFO with a red X on it. Can you get into that?
What was that?
You sent me an image of a UFO, a saucer with a red X.
Oh yeah, that X was me standing on the edge of the crater, because the ship was landed right close there, and I was looking down at the base, and
okay,
that's supposed to be, you know, with the moon, something like that.
Okay.
And now, I've said these things before people had the internet. I was telling these things. So people say, you know, oh, you get that information off the internet. No, because I thought, because I didn't really get on the internet until, let's see, I didn't move to Florida, well, it was in 2003 or something like that. And I really didn't find any of these things until like 2005
Mm.
websites about, alien stuff. So I was telling this stuff before they even had that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not the only one telling about this. Now, there's some guy, he's got a book out. I had it on another hard drive, and I made a mistake, and I formatted it, so I lost all the information. He says for he was what, 15 or 20 years out in another not another galaxy, but another star system, and he was a captain or the commander, and he said the same thing. He had like 15 or 20 people under him. They was on another planet and another star system.
Okay. Wow.
So, and I've seen two others say about being in, well, quite a few now, about being in special space programs and stuff. So
I've interviewed 3 so far that been in the SSP, the secret space program. So, like, you're my 4th. So that's quite amazing. Yeah, I've interviewed 3 other individuals that were in the secret space program, like yourself. So I find that I didn't know much about that, but now I do, and it's quite common now.
yeah, that's why I say, it's not. I don't think it's mass hysteria or we're all having the same dream or anything. That's too highly improbable. Yeah. I mean, these are things that are really happening.
So we could call it a night or a day, because it's early for you.
My throat's getting awful sore. I'm struggling here.
Well, you've been awesome tonight, and thank you so much for coming on. Your stories are quite amazing. I enjoyed it, really. It's a lot of stuff that was new to me, so thank you very much for coming on.
Welcome, and if you have any questions for me, you can either email me or on Facebook, send me questions, and if I can answer them, I will.
I will do. If people ask questions on the in the YouTube chat, I'll email them to you, and you can respond.
Okay. All right. Okay. Have a good night.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show, and more interviews coming up. So take care, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Gray, and thanks for watching today's episode. If you are an abductee, contactee, or experiencer, and you believe that your story could help others, please feel free to contact me through my YouTube channel email. When it comes to experiencers, the ET phenomena, and the future, remember, truth will out.